This video contains content sponsored by John Wilson Blades and MK Blades. Opinions discussed in this video do not reflect the views of John Wilson or MK. Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Jennifer Kerr.
And I'm Dave Lees.
And we are going to recap all of yesterday's event. It's the final day at Nationals. We've survived. We're planning on doing a live show after the men's long program on YouTube, so you guys can check for that. We'll be tweeting about it. But first, pause. We need to give a shout out to DC Edge.
Yes, they're going to Eastern Sectionals next week.
Synchro team. They've been snowed in the past couple of days. So we met one of their coaches and we want to say, hey. But talking about edges, let's talk about the ice dance, the first event yesterday, the Shibutanis. Surprise winners here. Now,
I think it was the second event. You know what, these days are blending together. Someone asked me yesterday, they said, like, how did this morning go? And I was like, what was this morning? Like,
it's a time warp in here, you guys. We'll look up at the clock sometimes, and I'm like, that's 5 o'clock. Is that 5 a.m., 5 p.m.? Have we really been in this rink for 12 hours? And we were talking yesterday on the show, too. We haven't gone outside.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's literally like we're in Vegas, there's a tunnel, and we just stay inside
the only time
all day.
I've seen past the homeless people, the only time I've seen, I was when I was walking upstairs, and I was like, there are some glass by the arena, and I was like, oh, it's sunny.
I know, like, we don't know anything.
And there's this huge snowstorm at home, and I'm snowed.
And we've been so just into the competition. But the Shibutanis, that free dance, Dave, so it was the first time seeing them live perform this live and just ever for myself. And it's, I think, the turning point in that program, and they've choreographed it so well, it's when they do the twizzles, when the music starts to build, because that's really what they're known for. They actually lost to Chalk and Bates in the PCS, but beat them in the technical. And I think time and again, I just felt the overall performance was better because they skated in succession. Phenomenal. And they were so excited in that kiss and cry. Marina was just freaking out. Did they deserve to win in your mind?
Yeah, they deserve to win. I didn't know if it was going to be enough. This ice dance to judges.
Right.
I thought that if they were going to win, it was going to have to be by a ton, and I just wasn't sure. The one thing, I thought absolutely they deserve to win. But I think that they've deserved to win over Chalk and Bates for a
many
while.
years,
you know, at least in the short dance. Last year at Nationals and in many competitions. I think that they are a little bit controlled as people. I mean, you listen to their teleconference and she's reading talking points.
Right.
And they skate a little bit like that. It's so perfect in her posture, but it's like there's a pole up there. Like,
and there's a thing, you've talked about it before, the 90s dancers. There's a crazy,
they don't
like,
have the abandon.
Yeah, the
and Marilyn
abandon.
and Charlie would have that. You know, and they would let it rip. You know, they would trust their training and let it rip. To me, the Shibutanis are so controlled. This program does bring them out, especially in the second half. And I was wondering, because the crowd, and I didn't mean this, I tweeted this and I didn't mean it in a bad way, I meant it, they've had such a strong audience reaction, I think, for that program. For them to win, I thought they would have to really, get the crowd, which they wound up doing. There were not a lot of people until the ladies event here, and I thought they have performed this so well so many times in front of bigger crowds and gotten that feedback. So it was a good thing. I was very happy that the judges did the right thing. I would have had Chalk and Bates third, though, and I honestly feel that way.
And we'll discuss that in a second, but I think interesting to note, too, that I heard some rumblings in the press room that people are kind of like, well, this is going to F us over internationally because you need to pick a team and you need to stick to it.
But you have to pick the right team.
Right, and I think it's time, even if it means at Worlds there's we potentially lose the world title. Chalk and Bates don't win that.
I want to know how they got it to happen. How did Marina get that to happen?
Well, she seemed shocked. She seems shocked in this kiss and cry, so I don't think it was something that she had. She genuinely,
the judges just did it.
Yeah. Parabens.
Because people, you're on skating and there's talk, but people are afraid to have their own opinions.
Yes.
Even like judging, it's interesting. But I was talking to a judge and he said that he liked both, he likes the Shibutanis the best, he likes Hubble and Donahue, he was, we were getting into edges and stuff like that.
Well, let's talk about Hubble and Donahue, because you would have had them second. I was underwhelmed, and I think they skated right after the Shibutanis, and it was the best free dance that Hubble and Donahue have performed this season, but I didn't feel like I don't love the program. I don't love her
short dance.
Yes, I don't love her dress in the free dance.
No, and the music is. They've had better free dances. I thought the Bohemian Rhapsody, I Put a Spell on You last year.
And I don't feel like there's a moment in the program, like I went back to the Twizzles with the Shibutanis, there's not a moment that really, you're like on the edge of your seat where it kind of takes you over the top. It's all good I don't find there's like a grabby moment.
Quality, I think their edges are really something,
phenomenal,
and their technique is great. I think they have really quality skating. I didn't think that their program was anything. I don't think it's special. I don't think it's the right vehicle. They're new with new coaches. I think next year they'll have one that's even more them, and they're finding their style and what works. I think they're a romantic team, and I feel like they went in that kind of European avant-garde way.
Like it was almost safe in a sense, and I think the programs that you've loved in the past too, they're kind of sexual in nature. Like there's a little bit of sexual tension between them.
These two have some
they have some history together, just off the ice romantically. So I think they need to capitalize on that. But one more story in the dance event that we saw yesterday.
But chalk and base is free dance.
Okay.
Seeing it in person, second time we saw it at Skate America.
I thought it was better than Skate America, but again, as a team, they're good. They skate with the command.
Skater.
Yes,
and she has presence.
They do skate with the command of world medalists, but I just didn't think yesterday that they were the best team in the U.S.
No, and I think there's been talk that there's probably only going to be one North American team on the podium at Worlds this year, just based on the French being back and the Italians. It could be hard to have two U.S. teams. It's certainly possible. Talk is talk. But at the same time, if it comes down between like Weaver and Poche and chalk and base and Shibutanis, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Weaver and Poche, winning their nationals, skating very well. I haven't actually watched it yet, but
Question for you though. Do you think there's enough time, and I talked about the Shibutanis to get a new short dance, I just think that dance, that costuming, the bow, it does them such a disservice if they want to go for a world title, world silverware, to really be on that podium. Do you think it would make a difference?
It could. I don't think that they will do it.
I don't think they will, but would you?
I haven't liked it. My opinion is that you can go with the criticism or against, and to me, if we criticize them for being young and people because they look youthful and they are brother and sister and people think young, if you then are going to be a doll, I think that there's just like a connotation that I wouldn't do it. I would have them do a glorious waltz, but I think that they have to find ways for her to emote and perform.
And having her in a character helps out. Well, Alex did talk about that criticism a bit in the press conference. Here's what.
I think you always, in the periphery, you hear the naysayers and you hear people that doubt your abilities and, our capabilities, what our potential was as brother and sister. There aren't very many brother and sister ice dance teams out there, and what we have is very special, and we never really doubted what our potential was, and I think that's what has gotten us to this point. Today is, obviously we're, probably a good 45 minutes, hour past it actually happening, but we're so excited. We're really looking forward to the future. This season we really took our skating to another level, and we're confident that there's so much more that we can accomplish on the ice, and that's what we're really looking forward to doing.
Well, one more story to touch upon before we move on to the pairs. Caitlin and John Luke changing their costumes. Much better. I liked her in the dark purple.
I didn't get the costumes, but they were.
I didn't get the costumes. They didn't. The other costumes actually did go with the story with him and the cementers.
I didn't understand.
What do they need to do? I mean, is this a Madison and Zach moment that we saw last season, where it's like time to wake up?
I felt that they've stagnated. They had great progress. I mean, the height difference is not going to change. They're going to have to get creative. I just feel in their choreography that they have really taken the safe route and not pushed themselves to develop. And then they had some sloppy moments here.
Yeah, she almost tripping on the distance.
And even in the short dance, you watch the edges in person, it wasn't smooth. It didn't have that moment. And I thought that Canusio McManus really skated.
They wanted that pewter. Yeah, they fought for that pewter. I feel like with Caitlin and John Luke, they skim the ice.
Yes.
They don't use the ice. Like, you want to see a dance team utilize their edges in the ice and really get into the ice. They just kind of skim.
Yeah, I thought all of the teams could have been faster.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch, the great teams in the past.
Right.
That's one area they can all do. It was a good event to watch. The last group was good. And I thought that it was interesting, and I was also interested that they lost the pewter here, and the judges really.
I know, we told them, if you're going to get the pewter, get new costumes. They got new costumes, and then they lost the pewter. I'm sorry. Somehow it was our fault. Maybe if you had kept the costumes, the pewter would have been yours. But I really think Anastasia and Colin, they wanted it.
They've had a rough season. Caitlin and John Luke, 75, I think, at their senior B, or very
low
score.
Yeah, and then she got ill at their second Grand Prix, having to withdraw. So I think going back to the drawing board and really reworking their skating.
But it's time to push themselves as skaters.
Oh, definitely.
Speed, technically, and it's certainly with the content and the characters.
Well, let's talk about the pairs because a new champions were crowned here, Tara with an H and Danny. And I think one of the things they spoke about when they got off the ice, and we'll play this clip for you guys in a second, is we forget just how injured she was, like severely injured. And I think sometimes she talked about how the rehab process has helped her. They were in such great shape. All of Jim Peterson's team, Mr. Peterson, I'm sorry, teams are in such phenomenal shape.
He's in shape.
He's in good. Oh, tell me more. Did something happen?
No.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it off the air. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I mean, just they wanted this title. They skated for this title. And speaking with Alexa and Chris this morning, they said they wanted it more, and they skated better. And Alexa and Chris are happy with their performances here. They did say it was their best long program thus far this season, but that Tara and Danny just outskated them. And here's them talking about her rehab process and how she's come back from that.
I don't think anyone really understands the intensity of rehab. It's almost harder than normal training.
I think
what she went through.
I do physical therapy such every day still, and I feel like some days at the end of workout, I'm more beat than the other skaters who just do the regular workout.
So very impressive for them winning here.
The one interesting thing about the free skates is that Tara and Danny have really had this program and not changed it.
Yeah.
They got a new short, but it's an entirely new vehicle. The other teams have kept tinkering with programs that they already had and keep changing it.
And it's not what the spark is gone. The more you tinker with it.
And I love you, Alexa, but it sounds like Delilah took that music edit on her Casio for the second to put that music in. It doesn't work, and all of a sudden the powerful music comes back, but it comes back too quickly. It doesn't have a continuous story that works. Yes, they're trying to have romantic style. They need to redo the choreography and really add it. I just feel like it's a program that's been ripped apart and changed.
I feel like transitions were gone and elements were moved around.
And it's trying to work. I mean, they looked much better here in certain areas. Their twist was great. Great to see that back.
Yeah.
Their sow cows were really, really strong, and I thought that was really important for them moving forward. But ways to improve. I think that people keep talking about how they want. Alexis talked about how they wanted to have 4 titles or go in as like 4 titles. We've talked a lot about this season, but I think you can't think about results, and I think that's. I don't think they're trying to. They were saying that they didn't feel the pressure, or they did, but
yeah. Listen to them talk about the difference between this year and last year.
I don't know. I think last year was harder for me. This year we came in. Kind of had a little bit of a low since the final, but getting the experience there, which was great. Just wanting to improve from that. I mean, we had a shot at regaining another title, but we opened the door for other teams to take advantage in a short and in a long, and they just waltzed right through. So, I mean, we're happy and disappointed.
So it's notable. You can see the sadness on Alexa's face. It was rough for them to lose this title, but again, they skated well. I just think that the fire in the long program is missing just a little bit, and like you said, hopefully they'll be able to rework it a little bit before.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of pressure. This is a growing season. I think they'll continue to improve. I think that you can't get lower than the final was a rough skate.
But this is better, like they're on the mend.
They're on the mend, and I expect that they will do better at 4 continents and then at Worlds. And I think that is where I think that Tara and Danny will skate well at both competitions as well.
Yeah, and really Marissa and Mervin began their long program skating the best. I've seen them all season.
Yes.
They were so on and looking the camera in the eye. It seemed like they were so in the moment. And then it's that same thing we've seen event after event where they go into that slow section, they do the triple toes, and it all changes. Changing up, we saw them rework this program and then missing the slow triple cell, which they really couldn't have done.
Good for her, because she's had some struggles with her jumps throughout the year in training, but she did it here in the free skate. He missed it. She missed a jump in the short program, so at least it's even.
Yes,
no one's fault.
That's a good partnership.
Yeah, funny to watch them talk with each other as well, always, the dynamic between them. I think it's interesting to watch them. They have a world-class look, they have a world-class quality. They need to get a second throw.
Yes,
it's time.
It's another throw triple.
It's throughout her career, it's been a problem, and it needs to be solved. And I think that it's interesting they missed the Sal, It's funny, they told us that they took out the dance, and that throw came right where the dance
Yeah.
was. Another program, I have to say,
it doesn't.
better before.
It was much better before. Those little dancey parts made the program. Like it just were little little inserted.
It was tacky and fabulous, and
it worked so well for them. But they will be going to 4 continents.
Yes, and I was actually, they were in good spirits. They really had a good. I think that I know that they wanted to go to Worlds in Boston, but I think we talked about this, that she seemed like they resigned, so they knew they probably go third was maybe what they were.
And it's much better. They have improved so much as a team.
And they had a good perspective about that, and I think they will be more successful.
Hopefully we'll get the 3 spots at Worlds this season. Well, before we move on to the ladies, a couple of mentions. Maddie and Max winning that pewter. She said in the mixed zone after that they just wanted to maintain their B envelope standing, so they were really, really happy about that. Jessica and Zach, a great long program. He struggles with the side-by-side jumps.
He looks very injured at this point. And it's funny is that he used to be the stronger jumper, and she was the weaker, and now she's really gotten it together.
And those throws were phenomenal, too.
You can tell Jenny and Todd are great coaches. I think. And I like the work that they do with their skaters. They bring in Renee Roca. There are some teams I would send, maybe, too.
Keep it real.
But we can talk about that later. I think that they are really solid work here as a team.
Well, let's discuss the ladies, because this was really that event last night we were all excited about. Starting with the winner. So before seeing the start order, I predicted Gracie maybe wouldn't be able to handle the pressure. I was blown away by how well she just stayed focused throughout beginning to end to that program, even jumps that were a little bit off, like the double axel.
We were getting texts that people had. I was getting texts that Gracie looks nervous, Gracie looks great in the warm-up.
Yeah.
And I thought she looked relaxed.
I thought she looked relaxed,
because
too.
I always look at her shoulders, and I thought, like, oh, she looked fine. You know what I mean? Like, she looked completely. I knew she was going to nail. I don't know when that happened. The energy, how horrible it was for
the short program.
It's a domino effect. The energy was there, and they each rose to the occasion. It was great. But I think we need to, it was a phenomenal performance, all 3 ladies. But at the same time, did those programs only happen because
of poor short programs?
And this is something we talked about as well.
Oh, I think it's a little harsh to say that they were our undoing. I think that we had mistakes.
Had a bigger medal, if not.
Oh, I mean, that was my undoing. But I mean, our short programs like here, they weren't excellent. But I wouldn't say undoing. I feel like it's a little harsh because we were still able to obviously be relevant, in the placement, and we were able to come back, and get some medals and stay in the top. I mean, the short program is its own kind of beast that, we're looking to conquer. We will conquer in Boston.
And I have to look back to, it's a real issue to address. I was walking over here, Gracie's had about 4 really strong long programs in her career. You could think Worlds last year, Skate America, Nationals this year, and Nationals 2013. Besides her free skate at Nationals in 2014, but there was a mistake in there. So I'm talking about like really strong programs. Each one happened after a mistake in the short program. So I think they need to get her mad, get her amped up, without having to do it from a mistake, and I think that that's what really needs to happen.
Well, in my mind, what really was evident last night was that she and Ashley and Paulina, just with her consistency, they're all capable of making that World's podium, but the question had to be asked, what is it going to take to get to that World's podium? And this is how Gracie answered.
I mean, personally, I can only be really held accountable for, 3 of those years. I'm sure we told, like, when we had great performances, at the World Championships, and so I don't think we can, it's not like that statistic is, really sad, but it's not as if we haven't been, U.S. women haven't been irrelevant to the sport of figure skating. It's just that, kind of elusive World Championship, and, last year was definitely, my bad with that short program there. Really, a medal was definitely mine for the taking. And I got a tiny one. I got a little one. We have an Olympic team medal, so we're getting really close. And, Worlds are in the U.S. this year. We had some great skates in Boston. And so the stars look like they're aligning. I think it'd be awesome if we could just, at this point we have nothing to lose, I think, so I think we're all just going to lay it out there. And I think it'd be great if we could get 2 world medals instead of, just 1 to break the spell or the drought. I think we're more than capable. I mean, or 3. I'm just saying that. Like, that's not what I meant. I just meant, like, statistically, that's
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I was like, my bad. But, you know, we could get 3.
So you
Loved her. I was only responsible for 3 of them.
Well, and the thing that I got was at the end, when she and Ashley had answered previously the same question, they both completely forgot Paulina in the equation of getting on the world podium. And the question becomes, and particularly after last night when we talk about packaging of Paulina, is she irrelevant to the conversation when we talk about international podiums?
Paulina's in her own world a little bit. I think, look, these girls, Ashley and Gracie, have such wattage when you're in even the press conference. And it's so funny. It's like Paulina didn't learn how to be a skater. I don't know, like some of these skaters, they're ready for their moment.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's just a little bit, and I talked about it's a little bit sectional champion, where on the warm up she's still wearing her little sweater. Like it's not a Team USA jacket. It's like a little what I used to wear at pre-preliminary. You wear a little like cardigan sweater, and then she was the only woman who had her medal still on in the press conference. These are things that, I mean, it's just, she does, and the way she carried herself, I think we have to talk about the packaging. It did fit the music, the hair and the dress.
For a senior lady.
Yes, but it just wasn't champion quality, and I think it's a shame because she has.
No, I liked the packaging in this short. I thought she looked.
Yeah, I thought she looked fierce and gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a gorgeous girl, but I think it's a shame because she has, we talked about it, what the other two don't have, and her team is really doing her a disservice.
We really have to. I mean, the speed is really glaring. When she's on the warm-up ice with Ashley and Gracie, she's far slower than the other ladies. Kind of crawling. I don't think that the free skate has a lot of transitions or content in there.
No.
I just don't think there's much to it, and it doesn't leave any impact on me. I don't think the music does anything for her.
No, it's flat, and she skates a little bit flat in her face too.
That, you know, the short program does. I think classical music is the way to go with her.
Or that Spanish program that she did in the 2014 season.
It needs some drive, though. And I think that they think she's lyrical and beautiful. You can, but I think you can be
to fierce music.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
And
like
I think
really
it's time
driving
to really
music.
have something very mature. Even if she did like a Rachmaninoff piano concerto number 2, I'm not saying she should use this. It's, you know, I'm saying that type of like a Russian composer, heavy gravitas to it, I think would be, you know, a way for her to go. We have to kind of age her a little bit. And she needs to skate up a little bit, more speed, more power, more command. And everyone was sitting and they're like, is she going to win? Is she not? And I was like, they're not going to let
her win.
And please, 8 points is a lot. And I was like,
but the judges knew it. They knew what they had to do. I knew if Gracie were clean, even if one mistake, I thought they would give it to Gracie.
If Ashley were clean, they might, but I thought if Gracie was clean, they're going to give it to her.
Well, let's talk about Ashley because she was the first of the contenders to skate.
Yeah.
And what you and I noted was that
scary girl.
Well, that too, but she just seemed so focused and not emotional until after, when the music changed going into that last lesson. You could see her turn it on. She went from 0 to 60 and then popping the LUTs. And
it was really very Michelle Kwan, though. We were watching, except it wasn't Michelle Kwan.
But because Michelle would have done the LUTs, and we didn't see this, but afterward, Brad, hi Brad, he sent me a screen cap. I guess when she got off the ice, Raphael was not happy. Kind of like, why are you so happy? And it's funny, she went right to the mix zone, and she
I know people are saying like they want to see poor Ashley. As a coach, at this point
yeah, I'd be
in
like,
her career,
you can't pop.
What? Come on.
Yeah.
No, I agree with Raphael. He's trying to train a champion warrior. I kind of agree with you.
Well, and she talked about how she was happy after the short program, and then listen to what she says about her long program last night.
You know, I was actually very happy with the short program for personal reasons. And Raph came up to me and he's like, you know, I know that you're happy, but you need to be mad. You need to get yourself to that point where you are angry. So I took myself there. I got into that mode where I was just a ferocious competitor, and I followed through. I'm bummed about the LUTs, but I don't want the LUTs to overshadow what is probably my best long program by far.
So is that the best long program she's ever done?
Hello, the final. I thought we just came from the Grand Prix final.
And hello, you make a mistake, and
last year's program was great as well. I know she rotated both triples. I think she was happy about that.
Yes, they were backwards. Yeah. They were good.
I think,
but she still didn't get the levels on the spins and the footwork.
To me, it wasn't her most engaging performance because of the focus. You know, she's let it rip more. She lost her level on the footwork, lost levels on the spins. Not her best program, but her demeanor afterwards. So she's such a star.
Yeah.
She has so much presence. We've seen a lot of skaters, you know, they make a mistake. And I thought it was fine when she was pointing at that, come on, she's all about, Diva Wagner is all about the drama. Come
Even
on.
when you said, when she went out for the medal ceremony.
That I think is a little
much. She was continuing to point at that spot on the ice. And
it wouldn't have made a difference.
It wouldn't, and I think I heard in the press room they were doing the math, even if she had done it, she still would have been third.
They might have given her even more components that she had done it, because they would have
in the audience would have, when you miss the last jump in your program, it does fall a little bit flat. Is it a little bit of delusion at this point for her to say she's so happy about the short program and then not?
It's the skaters. Everyone is so happy. I saw a skater ball for an hour backstage, and then I saw an Instagram of how happy they are about the fight. And come on. I mean, it's not everything is. Listen, I don't understand. Even getting back to my question with, Gracie was like, what am I doing here? And just be like, I effed up.
Yeah,
okay?
take responsibility for it.
And just move on.
And it doesn't mean that you're showing weakness. No. You're just being real about it. And you can still say, I can do it. I know I can do it, but I haven't done it in the past. Take authority about that. Well, one skater who was happy and I think deserves to be happy was Mirai, winning the pewter here. There didn't seem to be any sort of boot problems for her in that long program, missing the double axel triple toe. That was smart for her.
She was going to skate well here. She had a forward landing. I was like, thank God she didn't go for it.
No.
I think if she did go for it, it wouldn't matter, but she looks like a new, renewed person, and we asked her about that as well. Given last year's performance compared to this year, do you feel a sense of renewal about your career?
Absolutely. To say that I've been having nightmares about running into the wall, cheated jumps, not knowing how the outcome is going to be is always the most difficult part for me about competing. But this feeling that I get after I compete, whether it's bad or good, to be able to work up to this moment and to show everybody the hard work I've been doing, whether it's a good day for me or not, I still love that feeling. And because of that, regardless of what people say about me, I still keep skating. And for that, I'm so grateful to everybody who supports me.
And we also asked Mirai how she got up after she's had rough years to come back from, and I think that's what's so impressive to me, and we talked to her about that as well. How did you get yourself to turn it around this year after the last couple of seasons? How did you get things turned around this year after the last couple of seasons and last year's disappointment?
I took a really, really long break, which I had to because I could barely walk, and made me really appreciate having the ability to exercise. I complain a lot about sweating and being sore, and I think everybody gets tired of it at some point, but when it's taken away from you so quickly, it makes you really appreciate what you have in life.
I think the one thing with Mirai is the program is a little empty for me, and I think
well, and she skated after Ashley, and Ashley did, even though it was the last 20 seconds, she did turn it on in terms of her face, the theatrics. Mirai needs to do that last footwork sequence in her program. She needs to be jazzy. She really needs to be over the top on that. And
I know Tom is so focused on the jumps and technical, but let's be real. If she is going to move, there are 3 strong girls ahead of her, and I think that Mirai should absolutely stick around, stick in the mix. I think that this is a rejuvenated part to her career. If she could keep training like this, she needs a program that's a real program with transitions and everything. And I know that she's been working with Katarina Lindgren, but it's time to put in the Tom Dixon content to the program.
Yeah,
it really
a little bit more.
And I think Tom needs to learn with his skaters to really push them in that direction. Know that yes, it's not just a look, it's a content, edges.
Yeah, that's as important. I think he's seeing it with Max, but it's as important in this system.
And he's so jump driven and focused and wanting to get the quad younger. And yes, that is important. You really have to do both. You have to in skating, you have to do everything.
Well, a couple more ladies just touch upon. Tyler Pierce, Brady, doing well, 5th and 6th. Brady really having a breakthrough here at Nationals. But Mariah Bell, disappointing 11th place. So doing too many double toes. 2 of her jumping passes didn't get any credit at all.
Yeah, so what happened is she did a triple flip. She usually does triple flip, triple toe. She did triple flip, double toe. Then she usually does the second combination is a double axel half loop sow. And she missed the double axel. She went at a program later. And it's devastating. That
and she knew it. When she got off the ice.
I think you're so automatic because probably you don't think about it. But she would have had too many double toes anyway, so she never should have.
I don't know what happened. Sometimes though, when you're out there under the lights and you're just thinking, I need to get points any way I can, and that quick thinking goes to the wayside. But I would like to see her come back with a little bit stronger programs that fit her personality a little
more
bit more.
Mature as well, a little more striking. Yeah, I think they need to find her style a bit. I still can see Rohini doing some of her moves, and I want to figure out who Mariah is.
And I think she's finding herself more. Well, as we wrap things up heading into the men's event today, what was your hashtag MK moment, Dave Lees?
Gracie Gold's free skate. I thought that she had that look in her eye the entire time. She was, no doubt that she was.
And a pattern 99. She wears pattern 99 blades. Best blade, in my opinion. I wore them for many years. Phenomenal blades. Well, my hashtag MK moment were the Shibutanis. They wear MK dance blades, as do the second place team here. Chalk and Bates. My mind is going away. Just the way that they took command in the middle part of that dance, and the audience, we were on our feet before that music ended. Phenomenal to see them win their first title. But what was your moment, hashtag MK moment of the event thus far? Very excited for the men. Leave us a comment below.
Yes, we want to remind you that when you're at your press conference and you've just won it, take off the medal. It makes you look a little bit young. Yes. Hold it edge.
And look sexy. Bye, guys.